So, Karl, do you support your local hockey team?
Of course I do. Go Sheffield Steelers. Our mascot's a guy with a moustache. It's weird.
That's the mascot.
Yeah, it's a guy with a moustache. Let's go. Before we continue, yes, I know there are some hockey purists out there and those internet assholes who love to correct people who are going to gleefully point out that Jacques Plante wasn't the first person in the NHL to wear a hockey mask. I will counter that, however, by saying that he was the first person to wear one by choice on a permanent basis. And by God, you better believe people made fun of him for it.
So who was Jacques Plante?
Yeah, I don't think that is the way you pronounce his name, because obviously Jacques and then Plant with an E at the end. So I think it is Jacques Plante, which sounds way nicer, because like in English that's Jack Plant, and that sounds boring. It's like Enrique Iglesias, which in English is just Eric Church. So let's call him Jacques Plante, because it sounds better. So Jacques Plante was a hockey goalkeeper in the NHL who played for various teams in Canada throughout the 1950s and 60s.
And presumably by the name of the video, they didn't wear masks back in the 50s and 60s.
No, nobody back then wore a mask, even if they were in the net, which sounds weird today, doesn't it? It's like hockey goalkeepers, like your one purpose in this game is to stop like hardened pieces of vulcanized rubber flying into the back of the net at Mach 3 with various parts of your anatomy, including your face. And they cover every other part of their body, but back then the face, no, left completely exposed to the elements and the hockey pucks. Like, imagine if like Happy Gilmore was back then, and like that would be a very different story. If the film Happy Gilmore was set in the 1950s and 60s, Happy Gilmore would be killing people with the power of his shot. He would be taking people's heads off. Every game would be like a tribute to Scanners with the amount of heads that guy will be exploding. Like, you would just have a revolving door of goalkeepers coming out and just getting their head caved in by like these just giant hockey pucks flying at the speed of sound.
Did Happy Gilmore play golf?
Yeah, but he originally wanted to play hockey. That's the point of the story.
Yeah.
God, have you not got Adam Sandler's like entire filmography committed to memory? The story is that Happy Gilmore is a wannabe hockey player whose only like defining trait is that he can hit the puck really hard. He can't skate, he can't do anything, he's got no footwork, but he can hit it super hard. So then he becomes a golf player because he can hit the ball really, really far. And then he improves his short game, then he sells out, and then in a very Adam Sandler move, he sells the fuck out and gets Subway money and just puts Subway fucking everywhere. And then he gets his mate killed by an alligator.
But no, I must confess that Adam Sandler's the plots of Adam Sandler movies are not imprinted in my head.
Ah, well, you're lucky then, aren't you?
You can't forget them. They're there forever.
But just imagine, though, like, Happy Gilmore-style slap shots hitting a goalkeeper in the face when they're not wearing, like, a mask. And as you can imagine, like, a lot of goalkeepers lost teeth, had, like, you know, their eyes exploded out of the sockets, like, facial contusions, like, broken orbitals, like, skull fractures, all that bad stuff, because wearing a mask wasn't a thing back then. And what makes this especially weird,
what?
They all wore them in practice, including Jacques Plante, who used to wear one in practice, because obviously, I'm okay being smashed in the face by a hockey puck, but not one hit by my own teammate. And like he continued not wearing a mask during professional level play up until 1959 in a game between the Montreal Canadiens and the New York Rangers. Can we just stop for a moment before we continue as well and just say the Montreal Canadiens is the most unimaginative name for a sports team? Like, where are you from? Montreal. And what are you? Canadians. Okay then, that's what we're writing down. Like, half of sport is psychological. You can win a game before you even set foot on the ice or the pitch or the court or whatever, purely through, like, you know, intimidation and psychological tactics, which is why a lot of teams pick names that sound like, you know, dangerous, like the Raptors, the Warriors, but the Canadians, like a culture of people known for being excessively polite to their own detriment. That's not going to scare you, is it? Who are we playing today? Is it the Warriors, the Raptors? No. It's the Canadians. It's so bad, isn't it? Like, God, so let's go. Like, favourite sports team name, fictional or otherwise. And I'm going to start by throwing out the Mighty Ducks, because we're talking about hockey. Because, and I found this out when I was playing like the NHL games with my mates, and they have the Anaheim Ducks. I went, oh, is that who the Mighty Ducks are based on? And I went, kind of. And they did used to be known as the Mighty Ducks, but now Disney owns the name. So they had to change their own name, even though they'd been known as the Mighty Ducks longer than the movie had been out. And they're super, super salty about it, because their mascot is just a duck. And there's another team called the Penguins. And it's like, yeah, a creature known for being graceful on the ice and nowhere else.
Well, I mean, a lot of the team names are named after animals.
Yeah.
Especially like the fictional one, like South Park Cows.
The South Park Cows, yeah. That's a good name, though. There's like In hockey especially, it's a lot of like aquatic creatures. Like, I think there's one thing like the Sharks. I think it's the San Jose Sharks, which is like super badass. Then you got another one, it's just the Leafs. Oh, cool. I'm just going to put it out there, if I knew nothing about hockey or what hockey was, and I just saw like a board announcing that fight, like that match, and it just said Sharks versus Leafs, I'd be like, I think the Sharks have got this one unless it's on dry land. Unless it's on dry land during autumn and the Leafs are going to bury the Sharks.
Think about how leaves move. They drift in between things. So maybe that's why.
No, I think
they'll float in between.
I think it's his Canadian team and there's a big leaf on the Canada flag.
Oh, like a maple leaf.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's still not very imaginative. Come on, Canada. Step it up.
Get some better names.
Well, if we're talking about fictional ones,
Yes.
there's a lot of Quidditch teams.
Oh,
that have
God.
all got
For such a lame-ass sport, some of those names are pretty good. Like, is it the Chudley Cannon?
Yeah, I think that's Ron's team.
Oh, that's so good. That the Chudley fucking Cannon. I like the names where it's either like a super dangerous animal or just like a descriptor of like, you know, what you're going to. Like the cannons, like, yeah, cannon it straight into the back of the fucking net. What's some other ones? I'm assuming you've got a list in front of you, given how you're like, you know, just gently teasing your laptop with your fingertips. What we got?
Yeah, I've got a few written down. So, Holyhead Harpies is another one I remember.
The Harpies.
Harpies.
That's the all-female team, isn't it?
What about the Wimborne Wasps?
See, Wasp is a good one, because like, it can sting. Stings. Like,
Especially on a broom, you're stabbing
yeah,
people.
it's like, oh man, someone tried to do that. Someone just put a knife at the end of their broom. Game over, man. Game
Oh
over.
my god, that was so
You can't
horrifying.
stop no one. To keep it in the realm of fiction, I'm going to jump to a real sport now. Say the Monstars. As much as I love the Toon Squad, I love the Monstars because I love like puns and I love like portmanteaus. And like, it's a portmanteau monster and like NBA All Stars. It's the Monstars. The power of Charles Barkley on their team. What are you going to fucking do? Led by Danny DeVito. Stop it. Get wrecked. It's amazing.
What about all the teams in dodgeball?
Oh man, they're so good. Like Average Joe's Gym, fair enough. But isn't it like the Globo Gym Mega Cobras or something? Because they have the greatest introduction of anything. It's the We Will Rock. We like the dun dun. Tss. I want to see that shit in real sports. I want to see like a football team walk in wearing Saiyan armour that someone dyed purple, led by a guy with a mullet, and they just want to point out and say, we got a village near Chernobyl, we got a ringer from there, and he's with a giant unibrow who can apparently kill someone by throwing the ball at them. That's my favourite joke in the entire film. It's like, the deadliest one with a dodgeball on this side of the hemisphere. They keep cutting back to the guy. It's like, I think he's dead. I'm just going to put it out there right now. I think the extra who gets hit by that ball is the greatest physical comedian who has ever lived because he eats shit so hard and he completely goes into the role. It's like, oh my god. Oh man, I would not mess with a team like the Vipers. I don't know if it's the Vipers or the Cobras in it. The Globo Gym something, but the fact that they go dun dun tss. That's great. More teams need like choreography like that. I want to see like GNU Force-esque choreography for every team. Because everyone must have seen those clips of that football team somewhere in Europe who does the super elaborate celebrations. So I don't even know what the team is, I just know they're well known for these celebrations. And my favourite one is when they score the goal and one guy goes onto his back and puts his legs like that, like a chair. Someone comes up and pretends to read a paper. It's so good. Who thinks of that? So go on, while we're on it, favourite celebration?
Celebration.
Yeah, I'm going to put out there the salmon. In FIFA, the salmon, just salmon into back at net, especially when you're playing like 7 players against 7 players online. You just salmon all 7 and you just salmon into back at net.
My favourite one recently is one from FIFA. Is in the most recent FIFA game, if you don't press a button for a celebration,
Yeah.
they'll always run to the corner post and they'll smack the corner post. But because the animation on it's not great, it will always swing back at the crotch. And obviously they don't react because they're not meant to.
Oh man,
Great. Imagine if they put the animation in where you got if it happened to hit you in the dick, they would go down.
the salmon's the best one though, because it's like, boom, it's off for fuck's sake.
Which FIFA game was it where you could do the triple backflip, but if you messed it up, they fell over?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that was a thing. Yeah, it's like it was meant to if it was meant to show you up if you couldn't do it properly.
Oh, okay.
So you would do like half a backflip and then fall over.
I just always remember just doing the salmon. I remember, like, me and my mates spent ages working out elaborate online celebrations where we'd all do separate ones so it looked choreographed. Like, you do the one where you stand like that, like the Hercule like, I1 pose, and you salmon through his legs. It's like, yes! Or was it the golf one? Like you get people to do like the golf swing, but then you do a salmon off it. They always involve the salmon, because that was the only one I liked. Where he does the golf swing, and as he does it, you run past and do the salmon, so he hits you into back of net. More games need this. More games need showboating editions. So, like, have you ever played any hockey? Like, we're talking about hockey. Have you ever played any hockey games?
I haven't.
They have, like, fighting game mechanics in them. Because fighting is seen as such an integral part of hockey that you can just go out and start a fist fight. And they have, like, super in-depth, like, there's, like, counter systems in that game. You can, like, parry the blows of somebody else.
Wait, there's not. Like, I thought you meant, like, you just press a button and they start, like, a scuffle. Do you mean there's actual, like,
Yeah.
press to punch, press to kick?
Yeah,
press
like you
to
can
block?
start a fight and lose because the other person might be better at fighting than you because each player has like fighting stats. And I want to go full. I want every time you initiate a fight, like a match of Tekken 2 starts.
The camera pulls down to the side, life bars appear.
You just get that moment. Oh god.
So what happened in this game between the Montreal Canadiens and the New York Rangers?
Well, Jacques Plante got smashed in the face by a hockey puck and obviously got taken off the ice. And his coach came up to him and said, "Are you okay? Can you play?" He went, "I can play, but I want to protect what's left of my face. I'm going to wear, like, you know, my training mask to protect it." And the coach having the choice between forfeiting the game or letting, like, you know, his only goalkeeper protect his face, opted for the latter. After a wholly uneventful second half in which Plante's face remained, thankfully, puck-free, the player decided that he kind of liked protecting his face in games and decided to wear it for the very next game.
So what happened in that game?
Plante's team won, and sensing a pattern, Plante decided, "Oh, I'm going to wear it again for our next game," and they won that. And again, so they won 18 games in a row. However, despite the fact they'd won 18 games in a row, Plante's coach, Toe Blake, didn't like that he was wearing the mask and told him, take it off, because apparently he didn't see any correlation between his best goalkeeper feeling safe on the ice and his exceptional performance for those 18 games. Do you want to guess what happened in that next game that Plante played without his mask?
Did they lose?
Yeah, they lost horribly. And obviously, like, out of nowhere, like, Coach Toe decided, holy fuck, never take that mask off again. So, like, Plante continues to wear it for the rest of his career.
If there seemed to be a pattern of him winning games with a mask, why would you have been told to take it off anyway?
Because other players were making fun of Plante, and the coach didn't like that. Because, as I mentioned at the start, wearing a mask back then wasn't a thing goalkeepers did, and other players and keepers were making fun of Plante, and obviously he was making the team look bad, despite the fact they were winning. And other players were saying, like, you know, Plante, you're a coward because you don't have the bravery or dedication to your team to just, I guess, take a puck to the face at Mach 3. And obviously he didn't give a shit. He's like, I don't want my teeth getting knocked the fuck out. I'm just going to play my best. And the coach, like, wasn't happy with these, like, stories floating around, or, like, the jeers from the crowd, like, oh, your goalkeeper's a coward. And if I ever get a chance to go back in time, one of the first places I would go is one of those matches, just to hear the crowd making fun of Plante and hear what their, like, you know, reasoning was for doing so after that, while they're sat behind a screen designed to protect them from the same thing he's protecting himself from. It's like, they're not even aiming at you. If you get hit, it's going to be randomly deflects off somebody. They're aiming at where he is. And the thing to keep in mind is taking out a rival player is absolutely a thing in most sports, and especially hockey, where they have, like, some members of a team whose sole purpose is just body checking people into next week. Surely just leaving a giant exposed weak point on the person designed to, like, tend your goal is, like, the most stupid idea ever, and no one, like, thought, like, maybe we should protect these guys' faces, because if they get hit, they're out, and we've got to send in our second choice for goalkeeper, and then if he gets taken out, we forfeit the game.
But also, do you know what's a natural reflex if something comes flying at your face? To move it.
Yeah.
So you would aim for the face anyway, because they'd either try and get out of the way of it, or fail to block it because they want to turn their heads.
Yeah, it's
and
like
it would go in.
Football players do it quite a bit as well. Like, they'll aim for someone in the wall because they know the reaction from most people is to duck and move out of the way. And, like, there's countless examples out there, like football players having to just take the shot to the face because they've got no choice. I have to stop the ball and I can't touch it with my hands. And it reminds me a lot of that scene in Mean Machine, Brad. And for people watching at home who may not be familiar with it, it's a film about a team of convicts versus a team of, like, prison guards in a game of football. There's an American version and a British version. A joke in, I think, both versions of the film is that the referee keeps, like, making calls against the prisoners, because obviously, fuck you, you're prisoners. And what they do is they take a free kick and just boot it directly into the testicles of the referee twice, and then ask him, are you going to start calling a fair game now? So I think in the Adam Sandler version, they just throw it at him.
Yeah.
With the other, I think, like, Vinnie Jones, like, who used to be a professional footballer known for being, like, the hardest man in football, boots the ball as hard as he can at his poor referee's testicles. And that movie's great as well because it stars Jason Statham in one of his first starring roles as just like a kung fu monk psychopath who goes in net and does kung fu katas in the net to stop the ball like he's in Shaolin soccer or some shit. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because it's one of Jason Statham's first starring roles. And I love Jason Statham's career. He started as a high diver who was like, touted for like maybe going to the Olympics one day. And then he sold shit on the streets for a bit. And then, and this is my favourite thing, he was a male model. And people don't remember that Jason Statham was a male model. You can find some pictures of him being a male model, but do you know what he managed to parlay this into?
What?
An appearance in a music video for this shitty band where, and I'm not making this up, he stands in the background of a scene in a solid gold thong, gyrating at maximum hyperspeed. And that's all he does. Just Jason Statham just gyrating. And that was his very first foray onto the screen.
What possessed you to find out the history of Jason Statham up to that point?
I wrote an article about it.
Oh,
right. I just love that one of his very first things he ever did. He's just gyrating in a golden thong, and now he's like beating up The Rock.
So getting back to Plante.
Yes.
You were saying that everyone was just making fun of him.
Yeah, he didn't give a shit because he just wanted to protect his face, but a lot of people on his team would echo these concerns of it makes you look kind of bad that you're the only one wearing a mask. He goes, I don't care. Like, you try getting smashed in the face with a hockey puck and losing half your teeth. It's not a very fun time. I'm not doing it. And obviously, he ignored the jeers. And as I mentioned, his coach didn't until they lost the game. And he realised, oh, wow, my goalkeeper feeling safe means he'll play better because he's now willing to, get properly stuck in. And obviously, over time, the idea of wearing a mask became normalised. And Plante's recognised a trailblazer in that regard. But I want everyone at home to just remember that for a brief but glorious time in the 1960s, people made fun of goalkeepers in the NHL for wearing a mask that would one day become synonymous with an unkillable fictional badass. Isn't history fun?
So Plante's mask started off as a piece of training gear, correct?
Yeah, something he wore during practice so his own team wouldn't smash his teeth out, and then he decided, fuck this. If it stops my teeth getting knocked out, I'm going to wear it during proper games.
So if you can think of a piece of, what piece of training gear would you want to add to a game in order to, help the players improve their skills?
I want, for NFL, do you know that thing they used to practice tackles? They have, the weird robot that has, a bag on it, and they tackle it and push it. I want that. And I want the other team to try and stop them when they're driving that down the pitch and put a cow catcher at the end. So they've got to force that up all the way. So it becomes basically like a medieval siege. And what they've got to do is put another row of them at the end of on the goal line. And they have to push it through. And whichever team's got the stronger players can do that.
I reckon any sport, but instead, how they have corns for training?
Yes.
Just bollards. Just all across the pitch.
Just random bollards everywhere. Make it like a fucking pinball table with the ball bouncing off it everywhere. You get those things. Do you know those little pinball things have that rocket the ball out? Yeah. Put them at random places during the pitch. Put them and you get to choose as a team where you want it. Do you like the 4-4-2 formation? You get to pick what formation you want your bollards to be.
Or you have an extra player who pushes it up and down and points it at different people.
Oh, man.
It's like the bludgers in Quidditch, but with a guy who's got a ball launcher.
I think as stupid as Quidditch is, I know we're getting completely off topic now, but as stupid as Quidditch is, I want some elements of that to get brought into other sports, such as just the random death factor of just a thing goes around the field randomly hitting players. Each team should be able to invite on the mascot and give them a big wiffle bat and just distract everybody. Because I think Waterboy, another Adam Sandler movie where we brought the Waterboy onto the pitch. I want that rule to become a thing. I want them to be call up any fucker they want, as long as they're tangentially related to the team, including the mascot. Because I think the mascot in goal would be really good. So imagine how demoralising that would be for the other team. You bring the mascot on to take a free kick or something and he wins.
Especially if it was a duck.
It was so good.
Because you have huge wings and you just block everything.
Yeah, but that's what I want. I want to do that. And then teams start getting wise to it and just getting bigger and
just get a Snorlax.
Yeah, our mascot is the exact width of the net and he just stands there like that. I love when they find loopholes like that in sport. They're all so good. But getting back to training gear, in football, since we're talking about it, there are those little nets, don't there, that they practice taking free kicks and lobs and stuff into. I want them on the pitch so you can get an extra, so you can get extra points.
Well, in FIFA, whenever they do like the loading screen where you get the training, they now have like targets that appear in the goal.
Yeah, well, they're
I
the
want
best.
that. Just targets around the edge of the goal. And
Well, they have those in real life.
Extra goal.
Like, they have like the holes, didn't they, put into the net?
Yeah.
So if you get it through there, you get extra points. I want shit like that.
During a game.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like extra points if you get through this hole. You get 3 goals. I like in basketball during training where they get medicine balls, like, you know, to get stronger at passes and things like that. I want like the team to like tactically better bring that in. Like, oh yeah, we're winning. Bring in the medicine ball. Which one? The 50-pounder.
What I want is basketball hoops built like diving boards. They go like higher and higher, and obviously then the more skilled players can go for the higher balls.
Yeah, the higher you can get, you get more points. And if it falls through all 3, you get all the points at once. Oh, but I just want all kinds of dumb shit in sports because it'd make it so much more interesting. Like I want, like in baseball, I want there to be like a golf cart. And like one player can have the golf cart, and it's like you can swing the bat out of the golf cart and then go around doing donuts around first base.
See, I always wanted football to have like 4 teams on one pitch, like 4 goals, 4 teams, 2 balls.
Oh yeah, playoff. Multi-ball should absolutely be a thing in most sports, just to make it interesting. Like even just for exhibition games, just as something dumb they can do, for, like, you know, for the crowd. But I want to see all that stuff. Or they should like do schoolyard picks mode, where just all the players line up and then you just pick which ones you want and have like 5-on-5, like, you know, at the start of a match to warm up or something.
Imagine if in soccer, whenever you get a yellow card, you get rosed. That's your punishment.
No, you get tangoed. Boom! I should just play like Red Rover and stuff like that. Just like I want to see like because football, most people play it at school and nowhere else. Like bring in the schoolyard rules. Like I want to see just like someone getting like I want to see a player like casually just kicking the goalposts over to make the net bigger. They've got to use the cones, and there's someone you see the coach walk past and pick up the cone and put it there. It's like, yeah, there we go, making the goalposts that little bit bigger. Like honestly, like come on, it's like they've got to play in their suits, and then one guy realised, if I go to Clark's and get the shittiest, most big dumb pair of shoes ever, I can toe poke the fuck out of his ball, and that becomes the new meta of football.
The bit where the goalkeeper stands is always just mud. There's not grass. It's just a huge ditch. He's basically in a hole. It's like a crater.
And he's got to play in his school trousers. If he gets him dirty, he loses points because his mum will be in audience yelling at him.
Do you reckon if the footballers forget their clothes, they have to get it from the lost property?
Well, that's happened before.
Really?
Yeah, and do you know who it happened with? Millwall. Millwall forgot. Well, Americans watching might know. Millwall have a reputation of being like one of the toughest teams, and their fans are like, you know, legendary for the amount of like shit they cause at matches. I think it was against like one of the Sheffield teams. Millwall forgot their kit, so they had to play in the other team's spare kit. And it's like, how demoralising is that? You have to play in the other team's spare kit. Or they could just do the schoolyard thing and you got to play in your pants. Do a sliding tackle in your pants, lad.